Well, Keith,
We're live.
we're live. How are you? Good
I'm
morning.
good. Good morning. We are both home for a change, which is awesome. And today's show sponsor is P&S Japan, who will be our special guest later this week at P&S
Nice.
headquarters. But speaking of special guests and P&S headquarters,
Yeah, it looks like our mystery person is in PNS Hayward. That looks like the warming hut, as we call it.
yeah, it looks like he's still lost too.
You found the right shop.
I found the right shop. Am I here?
Everyone give Tony Mazzell a hand. Tony, why are you here? What are you doing?
Well, I am the new director of training at PNS, specifically the Hayward Training Studio.
Yay.
Nice. Welcome to the family and the team.
Thank you. Got my coffee.
Ooh,
Here we go.
coffee. Well, welcome. We're so excited to have you here. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
For those that didn't understand what that was all about, when we went to TRCMA, we had a little teaser because we knew Tony was coming. And so if you caught our hype video, Team PNS's hype video from TRCMA, there was a shot of Tony looking for the right shop. Now, he was in his own shop, but it was a teaser for today, basically. So Tony has found a new team. He is joining our team officially as of this morning, but he's been behind the scenes training and getting prepared for this. So we are super excited to have you on board, Tony. And so Tony kicks off his first 3-day training today by himself. So nothing like being thrown into the fire. It's going to be awesome. So Tony's an amazing trainer. So we're super, super excited.
Yep.
Thanks. I'm super excited about it.
I bet you got to take over. I saw that you organized all the towels and stuff last night. So exciting. So exciting. So lots of congratulations over there. So what else do we got? What else are we doing today?
Oh man, what are we not doing today? Well, first of all, we're recovering from the weekend. And so we should call it without, I mean, that's what I detailed this last week, which was PNS distributor experience, which was awesome at Big Bear. Had 8 partners down, which was a fantastic opportunity for us to share kind of being a distributor and putting that program on steroids for those that came. And had a nice diverse group. We had people from kind of all regions, and so that was awesome. And we were down with Rennie and Chris, of course. Bob, you and I were there, Sid, and we're ever evolving that program. So it was exciting for us to do our first one and learn from it. And we learned, I think, as much from the students as they learned from us. At least I hope they did. So that was cool. And then this week coming up, I'll see Tony on Wednesday because I'm going to be down there. Our Japanese partner at PNS Japan, who's our show sponsor, will be in the house. And we will have a couple other mystery guests there on Thursday as well. So stay tuned on social media for that. And then Friday, Saturday, we have a Group S class in Portland at Northwest Auto Accessories. And Saturday, we have an inspiration class at Northwest Auto Accessories. So in Portland. So if you just don't have anything to do this week, we've got a few things on the schedule. And then next week, Sydney, you guys take over and go do a bunch of stuff. So
yeah. So in a week and a half, Tony and I are actually going to Budco in Salt Lake to do a 1.5-day training over there. So that will be super fun. We're really looking forward to that. But let's back up a little bit because actually a lot has happened since the last Bead Maker and Coffee.
Well, yeah, there's that.
So on the last episode 2 weeks ago, which is crazy to think it's only been 2 weeks ago, we had Jason Otterness as our guest, and it was just prior to the Chicago Auto Pros / Car Supplies Warehouse Creator Summit 2023. Shh. Dog. And so Bob, Rennie, and myself went to that. That was the end of that week, and what a stinking amazing event. It was absolutely amazing. I'm sure everyone will start to see some of the content coming out of that event, but I'm sure you saw lots of, behind the scenes videos, and, we tried to give everybody a look inside, and it was such a great event. So I want to congratulate those guys again on just a truly great event. It's always scary to put on an event for the first time. I mean, truly scary, terrifying. And they killed it. They did such a great job.
Great job.
And then, like Keith said, after that, we did the event this weekend in Big Bear. So it's been, just absolutely nuts. But so during this part of the show too, we also go over what our favorite project was for the last 2 weeks. So Tony, you go first and then I'll say mine.
Okay. Well, so this last week I was in my shop. I missed out on all the fun stuff happening everywhere else. But I had a little bit of my some fun stuff going on my own. I actually reached out to Keith because I had a dusty, crusty old 1985 Porsche 928 in my shop. And, so I reached out to him and I said, hey, it's been a while since I've worked on anything, this, we'll call it wise. And, and so I needed some wisdom. So I reached out to Keith and he said, go find the oldest, dustiest, crustiest bottle in your cabinet. And while it was a new bottle, it ended up being, of course, UCP Ultra Coat Polish 1987.
Yes.
And knocked it out of the park. I briefly, I kind of fought him on it. I did some test spots of some other products. One product actually seemed to do better, but it was everything fooling me because that was the only panel on the car that had been clear coated. The rest were still single stage. It was a little bit of a patchwork, but ultimately I UCP'd the entire thing and it came out beautiful. The owner was super happy and it's glossy and shiny. And now he's not so sure he wants to sell it anymore, which is possibly disappointing because when he said he wanted to sell it, my wife, Bonnie, I caught her sitting in it at one when she thought I wasn't looking. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But yeah, UCP came to the rescue and it was a good time.
You know what's so funny about that is I don't know if everybody saw last week on the Bead Maker Lounge, Josh Pierce was wearing a shirt that said Ultra Coat Polish is always the answer and had Keith Duplessis signature underneath it. And that shirt is funny because it's honestly true. And I love that as detailers, we always try that theory. And Tony, if you remember, this made me laugh when Keith told me the story because he kind of told me a little bit more than you did about the story. But what's funny is, remember, you were in Boise and you were at my shop and we had that. Remember, I had coded that. What was that? A black Toyota Prius?
Prius.
And we came back from dinner and the coating was doing something weird. And anyway, so we tried a ton of different things on it. And what did we end up with?
We ended up at UCP,
right? That's what it took. So it is funny because there's lots of situations like this where, we try and we think we know better. And it truly, it is always the answer. It's the answer when nothing else will work.
With the Prius, especially, it was really strange because it looked great. And even under your shop lights, where you can see every little defect, it still looked great, but there was some little X factor where both of us were looking at each other and we're like, I don't know. It looks fine. And then we tried the UCP on a spot and it's like, okay, that looks great. Yeah. And we had to do the whole car. Which I got roped into. Yeah.
Sorry about that. You always know when there's a car in the shop and you stop by, you're going to get, even Gordon McCall was no stranger to that. He showed up in my shop one day and he ended up washing the Suburban and drying it.
Well, that's useful because, he can actually reach it.
Yeah, he was tall. Yeah. So nobody is, you're in trouble, right?
Yeah.
If you show up and there's a car. So my favorite product, and it's obviously easy to pick the new products, right? But I have to point this out because I truly loved it. I always love even when we're going through our testing process, not everything that we're going to use it for comes to light because I try to just use it exactly as intended. And I did still use this as intended. So don't worry about what I'm about to say. But what I think is interesting is my favorite product this week was Swift. And the reason being is, and you know me, I'm Natural Finish's biggest fan, right? But I had a couple brands of vehicles in here and one that I'll pick on is Range Rover. Range Rover, and then specifically the new Escalades, that new material is really difficult to put a dressing on of any kind, it just doesn't absorb. And so
Doesn't
you end
level
up with
right.
like a streaky mess, and they're really difficult to dress. And so what I like about Swift is, which I did not picture me doing, I pictured me leaving it as a maintenance or, cleaner, light cleaner and dressing. But what I've done in the last couple weeks, a few times now, is fully clean the car with Express like normal, but then I'm going back over with Swift as my dressing, right? Or conditioner. And so it doesn't matter that it's partially a cleaner too. You can use it as your final dressing, what have you. And it leaves such a nice finish, and it's nice and smooth and soft. Everything looks conditioned, but nothing, no shine or color or anything like that. It just deepens everything, conditions everything. But what I like the most about it is, because it does kind of have the anti-static properties, it just makes everything look nice. It looks finished. So I'm loving using it, even though I'm still detailing the same way on dirty cars. I'm using it as essentially my dressing step.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super easy to use. It looks great. It doesn't interact weird with the Express or anything like that. So really loving it for that.
I had a Swift hero moment this week as well. I mean, it didn't quite top the UCP situation, but there was a car in particular where it was probably 10% past what I thought would have been too dirty for just Swift. But I gave it a shot anyway, and the car came out great, and it saved me a ton of time.
Awesome.
And I was just so happy with it.
Yeah. I love that. One of my favorite things is just to hit the dirty spots with Express. So maybe like the cup holders, the kids' cup holders, and then just finish off with Swift. So I love kind of doing that pre-scrub, in areas that maybe need a little bit of a kick. But Swift does do a lot by itself for sure, especially when paired with like the Detail Factory brush or the Sidekick. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I got to tell you, my product was Defender.
Yeah.
So we, at the distributor experience, we worked on the black expedition that we had, and we dropped Bob and Sid off yesterday early because they had an early flight, and I had to hang out with Shad and Max from Budco, and every time we walked back out to that vehicle, it just was slick as all could be, and it just popped. And anybody who saw that vehicle when we got it, it was pretty hammered. So it just, wow. I'm more and more impressed with Defender every time I see it get used. So, I hate to be the Johnny come lately, product grabber too, because I'm still the Ultra Coat Polish guy, but that's still a great product. So, so lots of congratulations coming in, Tony. This is awesome. This is from Bob Phillips. Morning, Bob. Welcome to the show. Love having you on. I'm sure he's up in the front of the building or on his way there. So let's get the questions, guys. And
yeah. All right. Kirby says, crystal wash used on aluminum wheels. Will it stain them if raw and uncoated? I have a test on an unknown origin wheel on a work vehicle. So, I don't come across aluminum wheels too often. I feel like from everything I've ever seen and heard, kind of everything stains them. So I would be super, super cautious on raw aluminum wheels for sure. Do a test spot. I'm not sure. Keith, do you know? I mean,
it should be safe on it. But again, how old are the bare aluminum wheels? That's the weird thing. Tony probably knows this as well as anybody after the Porsche experience he had.
Yeah.
You got to go back a ways to find bare metal because everything's clear coated today. So I would probably say pre-wet and apply the product and you will have no problems. I know we like to not pre-wet for those situations because the product is more effective, but sometimes a little security there is not a bad thing.
Yep. Awesome. Good morning. Coming in. Morning all. It is morning. We're just waking up.
We go.
So this is from Gabriel. So in Europe, paint gloss is the answer. They can't get Ultra Coat. So maybe talk to Patrick. You got to get some Ultra Coat. You got to get, because you know what it is? That's like your emergency cabinet, right? I mean, I still use Ultra Coat a lot anyway, but it literally is your emergency. I mean, that's the one that when nothing else works, Ultra Coat will. But paint gloss, of course, is amazing.
Well, I mean, it's. I think we have to call it the Swiss Army knife because
Yeah.
we use that thing inside, outside. You can wipe down an interior panel. You can use it as actually what it's designed for. Anti-static on the carpets. I mean, it's got a million uses.
Yeah. Good morning, Jerry.
I had a question here and I wanted to get to it.
Okay.
Ooh.
Any chance of a 10H ceramic coating or long-term ceramic coating? You know, we haven't really looked into anything longer than Legend at this point. And I'm just going to give my personal opinion on this. For me, the vehicles that I see, my clients' vehicles and even my own vehicle, I want to do a pretty, well, I mean, this is funny because I don't ever keep a car longer than 3 years. But if I did, I feel like I would want to do a hard reset.
Yeah, they just get too beat up for
Yeah.
a coating that lasts longer than 5 years, unless it's, well, it's funny. If it's a Garage Queen show car that's sitting indoors and not driven
Mhm.
except on the occasional Sunday, that 3-year coating is going to last a long time.
Right.
You know, it doesn't just magically evaporate on its own.
Right.
And so, but when you have a daily driver, after especially 5 years, they get beat up, and you
Yeah.
want to polish it anyway to make it look good. So it's a tough question, and I get the need because of the way the market's going, or the desire to have that longer term coating. But
Mhm.
I think when reality sets in, how useful is that really?
Yeah. 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 I just feel like all cars are going to need a good solid reset. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the thought of 7 or 10 year coatings. I'm just not.
Yeah.
So no. Abraham, I feel like Kia Telluride is that way as well. Just won't absorb anything. Absolutely. There's
Yep.
a lot of these new cars. I don't know if they're downgrading or upgrading the material, but yeah.
Well, I like to call that paint brittle or really hard, you know, and it's not
Oh, he's
necessarily.
talking about the inside. He's
Oh,
talking about the interior.
yeah.
Panels not
Hard to put,
absorbing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oof,
Hard to put stuff
yeah.
on. Yep, for sure.
All right, Alex is
Alex!
excited for you.
Tony, finally.
Hey, Alex.
Yep.
Thanks, buddy.
I think Alex knew the secret. He's been holding it back. Alex is a good secret keeper, by the way.
That's good to know.
He's a good secret keeper.
And we got to give Jamie credit too. He was a good secret keeper.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
Josh.
Alex and Jamie.
Yep. So Super Auto 2K. I like that. Good morning. Great content as always. Can we please get a dedicated video on all the uses for Crystal Wash? We can't find one anywhere. Right. That is true. So we have been insanely busy the last couple months. And so I did the short one on Crystal Wash. Definitely the long Crystal Wash is on my hit list, but you know, quite honestly, I need my videographer to be done with school. So give her a couple weeks. Yeah, so I'm going to get to that. I promise. It's just that one, because it is going to be a long one. It just takes a little bit more thought and preparation than the short ones. So yes, absolutely. We'll get to that because it'll be a multi-part, you know, video. So that's coming. It's literally next up on the list. We have just been running ragged, have not been in town, but we'll get on that. But speaking of videos, you guys, this is an exciting thing about Tony joining the team as well, is that Tony's going to help with like some short, quick videos on all the products. So we'll be getting more of those out. You know, I've been doing the Bead Maker shorts on YouTube, which are great. Those are kind of answering questions that come in between the shows. So you'll see those start to pop up, but Tony's going to help with the quick 1-minute videos on all the products. So we will be ramping up our product videos on our YouTube now that Tony's aboard, and his hair and makeup's a lot easier to do than mine. So we might be getting more constant, short, quick. Keith probably takes the shortest amount of time of anybody on the team to get ready. We are always impressed with his skills, and Tony, you'll learn this. So if our call time to go to the car is 7 a.m., I'm not joking about this. And we have this, like, Bob gives us a call time and we all better be there, right? It sounds scarier than it is, but so if it's 7 o'clock, we're getting in the truck. We will hear Keith's shower turn on at 6:58. Turn on. But then at 7 a.m.,
he's there
in the truck. It is the craziest thing.
That's the army. That's the army.
Yeah. Yeah. He's amazing. But
Yeah.
anyway, so Tony's going to help us out with videos too. So stay tuned. We're
Yeah.
working on videos.
Yeah. The thing is, we always have the best intention to get to it. And then, we just got a million things going. So it is not one that has been shelved and we're not doing. It's just, we got to get there and it'll happen.
Yep. We're on it. Good morning.
All right. Let's see. Aha, we already answered that one.
We already answered that one. Oh, good. How's Defender on interiors? Has anyone tried on Tony, any off-label uses you've done?
I haven't off-label prescribed Defender yet. That's the one I haven't. I'm tiptoeing into that one. It's
like somebody in their probationary period, right? I'm not going to do exactly what I'm supposed to do.
You do what you're told until I tell you otherwise. No, honestly, I've had so little of it. Like I told you, I literally took the cap off of a 16-ounce bottle to get the last morsels out, like someone fiending over something. I've had so little, and I've had to use it on the paint. I haven't given it any other side projects yet. Yeah.
So we have seen people use it for off-label uses. Some of the areas I think it's great in. I love it in door jams after I've cleaned them because it kind of just seals them up. That's great. So easy to put on. We've seen people, and I think I can't remember who is it Eddie that's using it on everything off label? I can't remember. Yeah, probably. He's here. I see him in the comments. So I've seen people use it on engine bays. I've seen them use it on the interior doors. I have not tried that myself yet. But I do like it. Like I put it on my own nav screen just to test it, and it's phenomenal. I mean, it makes it super slick.
Wow.
So far we have not found anything that you can't put it on. It seems to work great on plastic, and I mean, it's crazy. It seems great on everything. You just want to watch any overspray if you're spraying on stuff. But other off-label uses that I personally have used it on is inside my house. It is. I mean, crazy on stainless steel appliances. Holy cow. Okay. And then I have white quartz countertops, which when you wipe them with, just normal cleaning your kitchen counters, it tends to leave like little water streaking. And so I coated them with Defender, and now they just dry right up, just like a car. It makes it easier to dry. So I'm loving it on my kitchen counters. And for those who say you shouldn't put chemicals on your kitchen counters, I also don't cut food directly on my kitchen counters. So I always use a cutting board, and love it on the kitchen sink. I love it on my shop sink because it just makes everything. I mean, I've used it all sorts of places in my house too, and love it. Just don't use it on your bathroom shower.
That's Keith's secret to how he actually gets ready so fast in the morning.
Probably.
He kind of covers his eyes and gives a spray.
Well, I have 3 layers of Defender on me at all times.
So. That's why the shower goes so quick. Right.
Yes. So I don't have to dry because I just the water shed. So it's perfect. This is from Anthony Brown Jr. Dude, awesome. Good to see you here this morning.
Morning.
Josh Pierce has a comment.
Josh Pierce, Metal Bright, and the P2704 wool pad came in clutch last week on a giant pontoon that was in my shop. That is awesome. Yes, Metal Bright saves the day when you need it.
That doesn't sound fun though. That was probably a lot of work.
Yeah. My goodness. You are much braver than myself. Josh, I forgot to show my shirt. Josh, look, I'm wearing my shirt. So it's backwards, but it says Bob and Dave 2024 or 3.
Yep, Hall of Fame. Yep.
Hall of Fame. So if you guys missed, Josh, who is one of PNS's biggest fans, started a campaign last week for Bob and Dave to be nominated for the IDA Hall of Fame. So if you didn't see that, go check it out in the Bead Maker Lounge. And so he sent the team these shirts, which is so fun. So I wore mine today because they absolutely deserve it. Thank you, Josh. Mm-hmm. Love it.
All right. Here's one that we actually answered this weekend, but I'll let you take it.
Is Brake Buster good on an engine bay? Tony?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
Yep. The beauty of Brake Buster is you can almost use it on anything. It is just such a great, I think I like it because of the viscosity of it, because it kind of clings for a long time. So the longer a chemical can cling, the more work it can do rather than just run off. So sometimes it is, depending on the job, sometimes it is great either in place of or in connection with a degreaser. So engine bays are great because it cleans to the surface and does a great job cleaning. It also has those rust inhibitors in it, which is really nice. So absolutely, you can use Brake Buster as an engine bay cleaner, which there will be a video coming out that we shot at the Creator Summit where Rennie used the Brake Buster as an engine bay cleaner. And then we also did it this weekend at the distributor event.
Very
Good
cool.
morning, Eddie.
Morning.
He's got a comment for us. It's coming.
Yes, I see it. Why does Swift smell so fantastic? I'm glad you brought this up, Deck Detail. The dreamsicle scent is just fire. So I love it too, but you know what I really love about this is we keep hearing comments that people can still smell it a couple days later. So it's almost working as like a deodorizer, fragrance. I've had a couple detailers that I've talked to that have said that their customers call them and say, my car still smells so fantastic. I can smell the orange, which is really cool. I haven't had a product do that before. So I love that. I love that.
Maybe I'll track down Dave today and see if that's a scent that is on the schedule for scent products.
I don't know if it is, but I think it probably will be.
Maybe we'll bump it up.
Yeah.
Yep. And Dave has done a little magic with the scent in the latest batch of Swift. So we may have to talk about that here in the near future. So, no, it's a good thing. It's more and more of what we got. So,
Abraham, thank you guys. Thank you for joining us this morning.
This is Anthony Brown again. Yeah. We used that at his coding class, his first time he saw it. And
Yep. Crystal Wash is fire. And again, on the Bead Maker Lounge, if you guys didn't see, Kirby Thompson tried it and loved it. So it's just when you need that, boost in your wheel cleaning, man, it really comes in clutch and saves you a bunch of time. And it's not as, messy to use as Iron Buster if you don't need the Iron Buster. It's just a great addition.
Yeah.
What is Defender's purpose? A paint sealant, drying aid, or a ceramic booster?
Well, it's funny. I probably wouldn't use it as a drying aid. Not that it wouldn't work that way, but I think you'd probably be diluting it to the point where you maybe wouldn't see the longevity or how awesome it is. But what it is awesome at is either a standalone spray protectant for the paint and glass and everything. It doesn't seem like there's anything you can't get it on. Apparently interior screens too. But really it's also awesome as a second layer or a soft layer to a ceramic coating. So even during or especially during the actual application of the original hard layer too. So now in training several times, and we're going to do it again today, 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes or so after the application of either Legend or Inspiration Classic, you actually come by and use Defender as the second layer. And they, as Michael Hill likes to say, they soak or essentially, sort of bond together in that curing process of the original hard layer of the coating. It's magic unlike anything I've ever seen before. And I've used a bunch of different products and it's just so awesome. And then it saves you from trying to do 2 layers of your coating. So you're using a lot less product there. It saves you a ton of time.
Yeah.
I actually kind of really got into the weeds with Michael Hill this last weekend. And I said, okay, if I finished this panel 45 minutes ago, but this panel 15 minutes ago, should I just go around the whole car? And he's like, just go around slowly. He really wanted that, that magic window of time to be perfect. But it's just it is like magic. So paint sealant, yes. Ceramic booster, yes. Second layer to ceramic coating, yes. Even drying aid. If you just had that much extra Defender lying around, sure. But use Bead Maker instead for that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm not loving it as a drying aid. I think there's something to do with when the product is thinner than water, which Defender does seem thinner than water to me.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I like and Dave kind of confirmed it for us this weekend that Defender really should be in a dry application always. So paint sealant, ceramic booster. And a funny story about that is when we were going through the testing process and, I had several bottles, I had gone through several bottles, and then we hit this point where they had made it and it was in a tote, which means it was like on lockdown. So then I was having to wait until it was bottled and labeled because the bottle and labeling happens at the same time.
Yeah.
So there was this window that I didn't have any more Defender, and it might have only been a week and a half, but it was the longest week and a half of my life. And I had 2 coatings that week, and literally I had like this much in the bottle. And I remember calling Bob and going, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do the coating. I was literally like meltdown. Like once you've done it that way so many times with it as your second layer, you just can't go back. And I literally was like,
the way I did.
Yeah. Even though I've done Legend and Soul, which is still a fantastic combo.
Yeah.
Because I had switched to Defender through the testing, I was like, I can't go back. I can't go back. And I literally had a little meltdown, and it makes me laugh because things like that, even though I'm a bit of a drama queen, the things that make me laugh about that is I realize that's when I know that I really love a product. You know, when you literally think you're going to die without it, that's when you know it's really good.
Don't take away her coffee, and don't take away her favorite products. That's just, I'm just telling you, fellas.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah.
For your own health and welfare, don't do it.
Yeah.
So, yes, Terry, we agree with you. This is from Fast Eddie.
Love the crystal wash. Reset the coating on my wife's car. Reset towel and bead maker. Coating looks absolutely. Yes. So crystal wash is such a great reset for the coating because it's not, you know, it is a mild acid. So it's not going to harm the surface of the coating, but it is going to pull all that contamination off, which is what's making us think the coating is failing. I see this all over the internet, people saying, you know, I did this and it's already failing. No, it's not failing. There's just stuff on top of it and you just need to remove it. You know, coatings wear away with abrasion. They don't wear away, you know, with washing it one time or, you know, putting the wrong spray on it. They underperform because of contamination. So it's not ruined after a couple months. It just needs reset. So that is a perfect combination. Love it. I do it all the time.
More Fast
Eddie, off-label Defender is highly recommended by him.
There you go.
He does
so
a
is
lot.
that our new official term for using a product the way we didn't design
Off-label,
it to use off-label?
Yeah.
Okay. I just
Yeah.
wanted to know.
I usually preface it, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but
Yeah.
but
same.
off-label sounds a little safer. Don't tell Dave.
I have an answer for Chris. He's asking, where did you find the unicorn tears to make Defender? It's actually more of a milking process, and we don't really talk about it.
Right. I love that they're unicorn tears because it has that opalescent. Yeah.
Well, you guys can explain this to him next week.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So that's funny. Dave somehow found those somewhere. Jamie used it as a spray and rinse on coated wheels. Yes. So now the one thing that we do want to mention is you can absolutely do it for this. The thing that I want to point out is, so it does work as so Jamie, the cleaner, used it. He cleaned the wheel like normal, rinsed it, sprayed Defender, and then rinsed it again. And what this causes is the sheeting action where all the water just comes off, which is great. It works exactly as intended. The only thing that I still suggest here, though, is when you're done, car's finished, I would still hit those. I would spray some on a towel and hit those wheels with Defender again if you were intending on leaving behind protection, because of the way Defender is and how we call it, not a wet application, is we don't know how much Defender is being left behind on the wheels. So don't use that as a method for coating wheels or protecting wheels. It works great as, a spray and sheet to get the water off the wheels. It's great for that. But I would go back and hit them with Defender if you were intending on leaving behind protection. But otherwise, it works great as, getting that water off the wheels for sure.
This is from Fernando with Pulex.
Oh, Fernando. Good morning. We had a blast last weekend at the distributor experience. Team PNS is the best. We had a great group of guys.
We had a great group.
Yep.
Fernando, we're super excited for what you guys are going to do. And good luck this week. He's going to the city for a trade show. So
tell Liz you guys were awesome. So this must be from Josh. Just go vote. You can only ask why they are not in the Hall of Fame yet.
Right. So actually, I'm going to put a piece of advice here because I know this process. Mm-hmm. You can nominate, but the Founders Club votes. So if you know a Founders Club member, then lobby them, and they'll enjoy that a lot.
Lobby.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that. So Jamie says the Breakbuster Engine Bay video just dropped over on the Miranda Detailing YouTube channel. So everybody go check that out. So Miranda Detailing on YouTube, he is the one that did the video with Rennie at the Creator Summit. So that is awesome. We're gonna have to go check that out. I'm sure it was a good time. It was a great, I mean, I was there for the whole video shoot, and it should be really good. So cool. Thanks for letting us know that we're a little bit bad about watching YouTube.
I feel a little uncomfortable with this whole comment.
Oh, I think this is hilarious. A mental picture of Keith actually beating water because he's coated in Defender is something else. That's something else.
A sight to be seen.
Alex is just wrong, dude.
Testing. Ethan says, I've been loving Swift as a final interior wipe to get rid of the dust and leave behind some dressing. It's still on my personal vehicle 3 weeks or so. Didn't expect that durability. Absolutely. And that is, even though I'm a detailer, I'm super funny about, well, I don't know why I'm funny about this, but I dress every vehicle that comes through, mainly because they need it. But I dress every single vehicle. I know that there's lots of detailers that are like, oh no, I clean it and send it. And I just can't do that. I have to feel like I finish it. So I put dressing on every single vehicle that comes in. But my own vehicle, I don't ever dress it. It doesn't need it, but I don't ever dress it. But I did, obviously, through the testing, and then when Swift finally came out, I did like a really hard, like, I'm doing this beginning to end type deal. And yeah, it lasted several weeks until a road trip.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing. I love the darkening effect and definitely keeps down on the dust for sure.
Yeah. Well, what's nice too is it almost straddles, it's almost in the middle place of dressing and not dressing.
Yeah.
Right? Just light enough to where even my customers who are sort of sensitive to dressings, they don't really notice it.
Right.
And they don't, or it doesn't seem dressed to them.
Yeah.
Because it's not overly, but it's enough to give some moisture back to the plastic and
and darken it. It darkens it. Yeah. Which I love. I love that it kind of deep darks it. Stephen Chin, good morning. I have high polished aluminum wheels on my truck. Let me put some crystal wash on it.
Uh-oh.
Yes, try that out for us. Let us know how it goes. I think it's going to be fine. I think it's just one of those things on aluminum wheels, like with any chemical that you use on them, be cautious, work quickly, watch for changes. I mean, it's just one of those things that there's so many variables there that's a hard, blanket answer. But the thing is, if crystal wash is going to hurt them, anything's going to hurt them, I think.
Yeah. And that's in that situation, it's not, don't spray it and go do the other three. It's right. It's work on the wheel you're at.
Wheel at a time. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Here's a great one. We love this question.
Yes. Does crystal wash smell like a typical iron remover? Tony?
No, not even close. Because it doesn't have the actual smelly bit that turns purple.
Right.
Like an iron remover does.
Yeah. So
it's a complicated name.
It doesn't really smell, but my worst habit for anybody that's ever been on the phone with me is I tend to, when I get to that point in my detail, so normally I start with my interior details, I'm making all sorts of noise. So it's hard to talk on the phone during my interiors, because I've got vacuum, steam, all that kind of stuff. And then right when I get to the exterior, I start on the wheels. And so that tends to be when I return phone calls or make phone calls, is right when I start on the wheels of the exterior. And so lots of people have been on the phone with me when I've started my wheel process, and I'll use crystal wash, and all of a sudden I'm coughing like I have COVID, and I have to say, sorry, I'm using crystal wash. So it doesn't necessarily smell, but if you try to talk when you're spraying it, it will cause a COVID-like cough. So you really don't want to be talking and breathing in when you're using it, but it doesn't really smell.
Yeah.
It just will let you know that you're using a chemical if you're talking while using it. For sure. So this is a good question. So Express left a haze on an LCD screen that I cleaned it with. I was able to clean it off with Absolute, but should you avoid using Express on nav screens? The cat is here. Go ahead, Tony. What do you think?
Yeah, I pretty much exclusively clean nav screens and stuff with Absolute as opposed to Express, unless they're just disgusting. I find that I don't ever need anything more than Absolute, or just my glass cleaning step. If I'm using a glass cleaner, something like TrueView, I usually save the cluster, the screen, and the mirrors on the on the sun visors, all for the very end when I'm doing the glass anyway.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my process. So, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe change your process up and just skip the screen with Express.
Yeah. Same. I have, like on newer ones that are just pure glass, I don't necessarily have a problem. I don't try to clean them with Express, but I will, there's definitely times where I wipe across them with my towel that has Express on it, but I
Yeah.
always try to dry it right away. It's the old ones, the old ones with kind of a plasticky,
Yeah, it's like a porous,
yeah.
touch
Yeah.
screen, old school.
Those are the ones that you want to avoid. Cause those ones are pretty, sensitive to all things. I'm sure we've all seen ones that usually they've already been pre-damaged by either the customer or another detailer.
Yeah.
But, the new glass ones, probably not a problem, but I always dry it right away, go back over with Absolute. I don't intentionally clean it with Express, but you're not going to have any problems on glass ones, but the older ones, for sure, try to avoid that just because it is actually a cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brandon says, what's the trick for Swift on all weathers mats? I let mine dry in the sun for about an hour and I still have more slickness than I'd like. So this is just like, I'm surprised that there's slickness because Swift is so light on the dressing, but just like with natural finish, I do this on every single all weather mat and I probably have 1 in 20 sets that might be a little bit slicker than I'd like. And that just has to do with how worn they are by the customer. But what you can do is obviously buff it down with a towel, see if that does it. If not, I will take Express on a towel, lightly spray it, and just run back over the top. And that usually knocks it down enough. And then I usually just tell the customers, I've never had any problem with this. I let them know, hey, I put a matte conditioner. It might be a tinge slippery for a day or two until you kind of get in and out and, wear it down. And they're always like, oh yeah, great. No, I much prefer it to look, nice and finished. And so I just kind of give them a heads up, that it will wear down as they get in and out. And I just let them know to be careful. But I don't like to leave them where, it's really slippery. So the Express trick on the towel usually knocks it down just fine.
Yeah. I hit some just the other day that were the same way, a little slicker than I wanted, with just a rag soaked in Absolute wrung out.
Mm-hmm.
I hit them with that and I let them dry and they were perfect after that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Stephen says, good morning, by the way. And so, yes, Tony gets to train right behind Stephen Chin's store. And I think that's going to end up being probably one of the favorite parts of his training days is taking the trainees over to Stephen's store. That is like kids in candy store, right?
They go a little nuts. One of our classes in April, I did that with them, and we show them. It was an all-in-one kind of condensed detailing day, so we only showed them a total of 8 chemicals or something.
Yeah.
And then you walk in Stephen's store and there's 60 or more, and they're like, "Wait, what is this? How do you use that? What is that?" I think I spent an hour and a half in there with them just chatting. It was fun.
Yep.
It's Candyland for sure. I can't wait to be there this week.
Too fun. All right, Terry, Steve, good morning.
All right. Here we go. We're moving on.
Thank you.
All right. Ethan says, is it okay to apply Defender if there is still some water in the cracks and crevices dripping? Is the first wipe with the second towel supposed to feel grabby, or do I need to wait longer? So yes, absolutely. You can have it in cracks and crevices. I usually do like to blow it out just because I wouldn't want it to drip, within the first hour of Defender being on the car. So I usually try to blow it all out, blow out all the cracks, just so that we don't have kind of that gremlin effect. And yes, the first towel will be grabby. The second one should be totally slick. So if it's still grabby, wait a little bit longer. So just depending on environment, I put the Defender on and I like to spray it because I like to get it on the surface. So I spray it, I smooth it in almost like a coating, but I don't rub it in. I literally just like level it out on the surface and then I wait 20 or 30 seconds and then I go back with that second wipe. And that second wipe should be like you're holding onto the towel for dear life because it's so slick.
Yeah.
So yeah, if the second towel's grabby, I would wait a little bit longer. The other thing with the second towel is, I like to use a real like light, fluffy towel. I don't like to use anything super heavy or super dense. I use an FTW for the first application, and then I use a real nice fluffy one. My favorite is the Wolf Pack. I like to use a nice fluffy towel for that second wipe.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. I actually, in lieu of a Wolf Pack, I will use the original Bead Maker fluffy Eagle Edge.
Yeah, the Eagle 350 or 500 are great
towel.
too. Those are great.
Yep. All right. Stephen is saying, good morning, Terry. Terry is a local there, and
Yes.
It is so cool to have him come see us. Hopefully he'll come see you this week, Tony.
Yep.
There you go.
Michael, I've got a silver van, and I was just wondering what I could do to make the silver pop. I was told to use Bead Maker and Dream Maker to make a mix called the Clean Maker. Would this help? Absolutely. So I still am a huge fan of the Clean Maker mix. I still use that as my final wipe on almost every single car that I haven't done Defender on. I love the Clean Maker. That is a great, I like that. Yeah. But silver van, the biggest part of silver and making it pop is honestly going to start a couple steps back at the polishing stage. You've got to really bring that clarity to the paint, to be honest. If you haven't polished a silver car and it has any of that hazing or marring that we can't typically see on a silver car, but we could see it on, say, a black car, just because the car's silver, it's still there, just like it is on the black car. You just aren't aware of it. So if you don't bring that initial clarity to the paint, you're never really going to get that pop. So to be honest, you still have to go through the steps of, polishing it and getting the clarity really good, and then putting on a product like Defender or the Clean Maker or Bead Maker. That's how you're going to get the silver to pop, to be honest.
Yep.
Okay.
Premier pressure washing. I have a question about the molecular structure on Defender. Does it bond better to Inspiration or Legend than any other? I run 2 brands of ceramic and just want to make sure it's the same bond.
I can't see it not working on.
Yeah, I think it works on everything. We have had it tested. I don't have the brands that it was tested on, but I know that through the testing, there hasn't been any comeback that it didn't work with. So I don't know how to describe the molecular structure, but I think, from what we've learned through our testing and through just our physical testing as well, is that it really should bond. Ceramic is ceramic, generally speaking, right? Now, the thing that's going to be, maybe slightly different is if you're using it as a topper. I personally have used it, using it as the second layer on a couple different brands, and it's always worked beautifully. And I'm talking about in that soak period that Tony was talking about earlier, that 45 minutes to an hour and a half. It has worked perfect. It has lasted great. Love it. Now, as far as once the coating is cured, and, it's just going to depend on if you have any other toppers or sprays on there that are recent. We haven't heard of any that it won't work with, but, we can't totally speak to that. We've mainly had it tested kind of in the right of way scenarios, but it should be totally fine. I mean, honestly, we have not heard of one single thing it doesn't work on.
Yeah. It's like anything, right? Where it's the how long it's going to last and all those things. It's all of those variables.
Yeah.
And even how well that whatever brand coating you're putting on is at shedding that product on top of itself. So, that's all stuff to keep in mind. You may only see a few months out of on some particular coating of it being effective on the top.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you said, I haven't heard anybody complain that it didn't work or that it streaked or anything strange. So.
Right.
So to hear Dave describe it, a coating is, a crystalline structure. So there's always gaps in that crystalline structure. Mm-hmm. And because Defender is kind of a finer product, in other words, its particulate size is more microfine. What happens is with the soak is not only does it kind of absorb in, but it fills those micro pores in the coating, which is where we get the gloss or the visual enhancement. As well as the added slickness. And then I think that also lends itself to adding the durability. And because it's not a hard crystalline structure, and it has the flexibility, it holds into the coating really well. So that is the best that we can do to describe the structure for you without really screwing it up and having Dave call me later and say, you got the wrong answer there. So.
Without having to issue a correction next week.
Right.
Yeah.
Good morning.
All right. Question: best way to get hard water spots off of shower glass?
All Sydney.
Yeah. So again, it's just going to depend on how bad they are. You might actually have to use a little bit of water spot remover. I've had to do that before. I try not to, but generally speaking, I've polished them with Clarity Cream and it's worked great. So if they're not super bad, they're just kind of surfacey, you can probably get away with, plugging your polisher in and going to town on them with Clarity Cream and then doing it exactly how we do vehicles. I have had to use, I cleaned some for a neighbor once that I did have to, you know what? I forgot to show the Jersey bug scrubber. But now I need to talk about it.
I was going to find some way to be like, hey, Sid, how do you deal with bugs?
I was like, wait, it's right here.
We're in bug month. We haven't yet to talk about bug remover, but that's okay. Here we go.
So I have had to use it on a shower door before. That was super funny. And I will use the Jersey bug scrubber and I will spray the hard water spot remover on the Jersey bug scrubber on the bug scrubber part and, scrub them off the glass. The thing that you want to be careful about that though, is you need to be in a really well ventilated area, wear a respirator. If you're using true water spot remover, it's pretty volatile in the air. And if you're working in a shower, you're usually in an enclosed space. So just be really careful if you have to take that measure. But I have had to do that before. So you can do that, just not really like the recommended route. Try Clarity Cream first. And then once you get them clean, then I highly recommend, putting View and Defender over them. Just don't get any Defender on the floor.
That'd be bad.
A broken glass.
We cannot be held liable for shower.
It's a topical solution for your skin only.
Yeah.
And I think to Sid's point, the other thing with water spot remover is you do need to neutralize it because it is.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure. Yep.
All right. So here's one for two people who don't have any employees. Well, Sydney has one difficult employee, but that's another story.
Oh, what's everyone's procedure on hiring and training new people?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have one, and I'm kind of thankful for that. It sounds like it's a nightmare right now. So I've only trained my kids, and I don't recommend that either. Speaking of, this will give me an opportunity to talk about this. So this is fun. So you guys will see right after we're done with Bead Maker and Coffee, now that we've announced Tony as the new director of training, we have a special month next month. So we are going to Hayward for Tony's normal scheduled training, but I'm going to be there with him as a guest trainer, which is super fun. So I usually try to go about once a year and do a training in Hayward. So we'll be tag teaming that training. It's going to be super fun. So that is on June 5th and 6th. So I will post the flyer right when we're done here. But the fun part about this is said trainee is my daughter.
Yeah.
So I've had the pleasure of training her since she was about 10 or 11. And so she wanted to come to training. She wanted to come to an official training. She does detail. She does a fantastic job. She is, like he said, a difficult employee, but we love her. She's adorable. And so she gets away with it. But she wants to come to an actual training, and she wants to get ceramic coating certified. So she is coming to Hayward with us next month to be one of our trainees, which is super exciting. So if you have been thinking about coming to a training at the Hayward facility, I highly recommend our June event. June 5th and 6th, you'll see that come out. You register on the PNS website. So that's going to be super fun. So Tony's going to get the pleasure of training her as well, which he has met her, so he knows what he's in for.
It's going to be a rough one. Yeah.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that, even if you're on the outside looking in. And then I haven't even told Tony this, and I'm not going to announce it, but we also have a special guest joining us in Hayward that week. Not necessarily going through the training, but we have a very special guest joining us at the facility that week, which is going to be super fun. So highly recommend if you are looking to go to the training in Hayward, next month would be the month to go.
Yeah. I haven't told you this yet either, but I'm also trying to bring a a sometimes partially trained employee of my own.
Fun. Always a good time.
Yeah.
Yes. That would be, it would be like literally the best month ever.
Yeah. So sorry we don't have better answers for you or experience there, Abraham, on training new people. That's tough. I just literally force my wife to come help me, usually on a Friday when I'm tired. And I say, hey, if you want me to be at dinner tonight, I need you to help me finish this car.
Yeah.
And so that's how I've trained new employees.
Yeah. Which Bonnie's quite a bit more compliant than Delaney, but that's great. So really, Abraham, the best advice I can give is definitely, not necessarily just in the detailing industry. I would seek out some of those podcast webinars on, hiring new employees, because honestly, right now, this world that we live in is completely different than, so seek education on the current times, not necessarily the past. And get some ideas from, bigger corporations, other industries, because it's something that everyone is trying to navigate right now, and I'm not sure who has the right answers. And then as far as training, the most successful shops that I see, honestly, will send their employees to like regional trainings. And one example is we have, lots of shops in Oregon that we work closely with. And like Keith is having a training at Northwest Auto Accessories in Portland this coming weekend. And those type of regional events to send your employees to kind of get the basics and kind of give a better foundation of the same training that you have. Those regional events are so helpful. They're generally pretty inexpensive. It kind of gets the employees on the right track. It reiterates everything that you're saying. So if you're able to, if you're in an area where, we have some of those regional events, or there's ones that you can send them to that are close, or even the trainings that we have in Hayward, it's kind of the intro to the, like the big 5-day trainings, but those can be super helpful for training new people, mainly because it's kind of like the kid issue, right? They don't want to listen to mom and dad. They learn better from their teachers. So I do recommend, as far as training new people, is seek out additional detail training, not just from yourself. It just gives the employees a bigger buy-in. It gets them more excited, and it makes them feel more empowered to go to an actual training. So those are the shops that I see be most successful with long-term employees, is where they do get them legitimate training of some sort.
Yeah, it shows an investment. I spent quite a while in the event management industry up until before 2000. It's been 23 years since I hired in mass, and I used to hire a couple hundred people a year, and it's completely changed. The one webinar I would say is go to the IDA's webinar bank. Sarah Turner did a fantastic job on finding and hiring detail employees and value proposition, and how you get them in and how you get them motivated. And she did talk about the introductory training. Probably the best one I've seen in a long time. And if you're an IDA member, it's free to you. So go watch that. You cannot go wrong with her advice. And by the way, she used to be a headhunter hiring people. So if anybody knows, Sarah's developed a really good program. But yeah, the regional thing is nice because it's good value. It really is. And, they feel like they're invested in because you sent them to school. So I couldn't agree more with Sydney on that one.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Carpet Bomber.
Can you use Carpet Bomber undiluted on heavily stained to help lift better?
Why wouldn't you use Terminator?
What do you think, Tony?
Yeah. So, I was just thinking silently, and now I'll say it. A long time ago, I used Carpet Bomber straight because I didn't know any better. And yeah, it works. It just might be a soapy mess. But yeah, Terminator is your first step, and that's going to be your more targeted, heavy stain, ugly spot, eater. It's going to let it eat at that, and use your Carpet Bomber diluted properly to, soak, or not soak, but cover the rest of the area that you're working at the time.
Yeah.
But if you have to go a little stronger, I think you can, but it just might be that much harder to remove all of that soap, or as much as you can.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So just like Tony said, don't skip the Terminator. We see this all the time. People like to skip the steps. Terminator, starts the dissolving process, and it gets that stain ready to be removed. So you really, yes, the answer is yes, you can use it undiluted, but you don't really need to. If you if you start that process of breaking down that stain and getting it ready to be removed, then Carpet Bomber, as its normal dilution, is going to, generally take it out. You can up the strength a little bit, but you shouldn't need to use it straight. If you've done it right. And just exactly like Tony said, it's just because the less surfactants we have to put onto that surface, the better chance we're going to have at neutralizing them with the finisher. So, moral of the story here, just use all 3 steps and you'll be good. Just don't skip any of the steps. It just makes the whole process so much easier, and more efficient. So yeah.
I think that's a bad thing, that we see the trend of the disaster details on YouTube, where these guys soak carpets in soap, and it's literally in a puddle of suds, and it looks great. And to the common person who's just watching that for the satisfying factor of it, that's fine. But that's bad training for detailers who watch that, or aspiring detailers who watch that and think that that's what they need to get something clean.
Yeah. All right, we have hit 7:30, so you know what that means. Time for the lightning round. Here we go.
Yes, and I just saw one question, and I was like, who asked that? I thought Bob asked it, but it's not. Bead Maker on screens keeps the fingerprints longer away. That is absolutely true, and I love that as well. I actually like to use the Clean Maker mix, to be honest. The other thing is, like I said, Defender. So any of those finishing sprays is gonna definitely help for sure.
Yep.
All right, this is a long one. Sorry.
Oh, is this? Customer came in to buy Brake Buster. He used it and he said he stripped the tires and left them full looking. He sent me pictures of it and it was definitely ruined, but I'm not sure how he used it. What kind of finish? Are we talking wheels or tires?
Was on his wheels or anything.
What kind of finish was on his wheels or anything? So first you said it ruined his tires, left them full looking. I'm not sure what that means. It's really hard when customers, that's a hard one for us to answer because we can't see the pictures. Generally speaking, when I've ever seen some type of damage per se, generally speaking, either the wheel and tire was already damaged and they're looking for something to say that it damaged. But I mean, I've used hundreds, probably not hundreds of gallons, but a lot of gallons of Brake Buster, and I've never had anything even remotely damage anything. So that's always a tough one. Like, how did they use it? Yeah, that's a really tough one. It really shouldn't have been able to ruin anything. The only time we've ever seen Brake Buster leave kind of marks is on super cheap matte black wheels that shouldn't have any cleaner sprayed on them in the first place. That's the only time we've seen anything. But I mean, Brake Buster is a non-acid wheel cleaner. So unless they sprayed it on and let it dry in the sun, that's about the only thing that you can do to cause damage, really.
That's my thought too. Like, was this happening out in direct sunlight? Was the wheel super hot? Was it matte?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Matte or powder coated. So one thing I will tell you is Brake Buster on bad aftermarket powder coating is not your friend. So you really just, that's, if I were to give you one surface to caution on, don't go after powder coating with Brake Buster. It will not go well. I'd pre-wet and use it. Probably you're fine, but don't use it straight.
Yeah. Yep.
That's from Anthony Brown. So I'll catch up with you, Anthony. We'll chat about that.
Jamie, I just got some new couches and there's some kind of microfiber material. Should I soak them in Inspiration Fabric? You should lightly mist them with Inspiration Fabric coating, but I wouldn't soak them. So microfiber couches are super, super sensitive. But I would absolutely coat them with something, because I'll tell you what, if you get water on them, it pretty much ruins them. So yes, you can totally lightly mist it. So what I would do is I would lightly mist it, have gloved hands, kind of, rub it in, do a motion to get all the fibers going in the same direction, and then do another mist and walk away. The one thing about this that you're going to want to kind of be careful of is, if it were me, I would probably take them outside to do it or put them in the garage. I wouldn't necessarily do it in my home because I know you have small children. It has a off-gassing. It has a odor and it's going to be in the air. So I would just be careful with that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Alex, better advice is don't let your kids near them. That's better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the other thing too about putting inspiration fabric coating on is you want to let it sit for a good 12 hours before there's any friction. So sitting. So that's why I kind of recommend putting them out in the garage, maybe doing it right before you go to bed, stick them out in the garage, coat them, bring it back in the morning. But you're not going to want to spray it and have anybody touching those couches within 12 hours, for sure. Because for it to set, for it to really be active, it needs no friction for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Mark says it was a BMW with the new, textured instrument panels. Stay away from, for sure. Good morning. Good morning.
Lots of thank
thanks, guys.
yous.
Appreciate your time. Ethan says, I always have a Jersey bug scrubber in my bucket for any stubborn spots that don't come off, just with absolute and ultra black sponge. Absolutely. Why have one that lives in my bucket as well? Totally. Perfect. Yeah, Mike says he tried training a turtle and that didn't go well either. I bet. What would you all suggest? See, this is the one that I was like, did Bob ask that?
Yeah. UCP.
But it wasn't. No, it was somebody else. So what's funny is that we literally just did that this weekend. That's why I thought it was Bob. So what would you suggest on a one-step correction on a black expedition? Don't do it.
That's the one you send to your competitor.
That's my suggestion. I mean,
Tony, I love you more every day.
Yeah.
I'm booked up, but I got a guy.
Yeah. I just don't do it.
We may have an answer for that sometime soon.
No answer. Black Ford paint is, yeah.
Black Ford paint hates you and you should hate it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. The thing is it's going to be an expectation level. I mean, to honestly answer your question, really, really lower your expectations and then try a product like Ultra Coat or, you could try Playmaker. You could,
Honestly, I had good success with Playmaker and Ultra Coat polish to take off kind of the haze of all the hammeredness on our truck this weekend, but the defect wasn't coming out. It just wasn't. And so we were able to brighten that paint, but we didn't take the defect out. But again, what are they paying for and what are they asking for?
Yeah. Just really lower your expectations for your customer. Let them know that generally, because what happens when you have those defects in the black paint and you remove that outer haze, you can just see the scratches better. To be honest, you can just see the scratches better. So sometimes that's a tough one. So just really lower the expectations. Let them know that it's going to brighten it from 5 feet away, but
and then do a test spot in front of them.
Yeah,
do the test spot in front of them and let them see what a one step will do. Because honestly, we did a multi-step on that paint and it came out much better, but it was still really rough. And so, I think you got to do a test spot and say, is this what you want? Or do you want, where do you want to go?
Yep. This one, I'm not sure what this is mean. What if a person is a part-time employee? Can he come by asking for a friend? Not sure what that means. Come by for.
Oh no. Maybe for one of the trainings you were talking about.
They would have to register.
On the sign up.
Yeah. Just like normal. Yeah. Part-time, full-time.
Yep. And speaking of regional stuff, there's a lot more on the schedule coming up for regional stuff. I mean, not just this weekend, next weekend, but I literally have stuff all the way up till Sydney's car show going on. So,
Terry's laughing at Ramiro. Good morning, crew.
So we did get a hello from Robin Sweet. She's late to the party, but she wanted to say hi.
Moral of the story, don't go Foam Town USA on interior seats. Absolutely.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, the wheels were dull. Yeah, that's a tough one.
I'm willing to bet those were an aftermarket paint. Even if it was done at the dealership, it was painted after.
Yeah.
But send me the pictures, Anthony. I'll look at them with you.
Yep. Late to the party.
That was Robin.
Thank you for the extra information. I don't skip any of the steps. I was just wondering if making the carpet bomber stronger with Terminator, because I get a lot of.
So if I'm reading that right,
about adding Terminator to the carpet bomber, don't ever do that. So as long as you didn't mean that. So yes, you can use carpet bomber stronger if you need to. don't ever mix the Terminator in it. I don't know if that's what you meant, but just want to make sure that that's not what you meant. So yeah, lots of heavily soiled vehicles. You can absolutely bump up the carpet bomber if you feel like you need to. And then what I would also suggest if you've got super heavy is you'll see us stack them all the time. So we spray the Terminator, put the carpet bomber right over, maybe
Yep.
skip that, do the Terminator, do your good scrub, and then start the carpet bomber. Usually I'm doing the stacking if they're not super, super bad, but you might need to, do the Terminator, scrub, remove some of that matter, spray more Terminator, bomber. I mean, yeah.
Yep. And you can kind of go back and forth and do multiple treatments if you have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. And the other thing is, if it's just grimy, dirty,
Mm-hmm.
a light mist of Terminator over before you put your carpet bomber down with a little bit of dwell time is not a bad thing. It'll help for sure.
Yep.
All right.
Dwell time seems scary, but it's your friend.
Right. Well, there's dwell time, and then there's I abandoned it time.
Right.
So dwell time is a reasonable amount of time. Abandon it is you put it on there and you disappeared for 3 hours. That's not a good thing. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Jamie, you're just not listening.
Just don't want your kids near them. Yeah. Thanks for your input. Is that Anthony again?
Yes.
Perfect. Good. Just wanted to make sure.
It sounds like we're really hard on people. I don't mix them. I don't do it.
Yeah, everyone in the comments is like, I'm so sorry.
All right. So we are at the end of our comments, and I want to thank everybody for being on. So Sydney, real quick, between now and the next Bead Maker and Coffee, where are you going to be that people can find you?
So I am going to be in my shop, and then Tony and I will both be at Budco in Salt Lake on May 19th and 20th. We have an event down there. That's going to be super fun. I'm really looking forward to that one. There are great partners over there in Utah. And then, like I said, Tony and I will be back at the Hayward studio on June 5th and 6th. And otherwise, I'm going to be in my shop catching up.
Tony, how about you? Where are you going to be?
Same answers. Yep. Shop.
Yeah.
Here this week.
Wednesday,
Yep.
right?
I'm here this week. You're taking me to dinner Wednesday.
He's not going to let you forget that.
And then, and then the shop, then Utah, and then back here again in June.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so for me, I'm here today and tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with Tony and Bob Wednesday and Thursday. Excited to have our partners from Japan in. And then Friday, Saturday. I have Prentice St. Clair
Yes.
at Northwest Auto Accessories with Rupes doing the Rupes Experience training day. And then Saturday is our coding day. And then the following week, I get to stay home, which is kind of awesome.
Nice.
And then the week after that, Sydney, which is kind of the next thing, gets us into June. And June 3rd, I will be at Carolina Detail Supply doing an inspiration coding class. So
nice.
Give people a little bit of planning out. And then the following week, I will be in Rochester, New York, doing an inspiration coding.
Yep. And then the week after that, we all are in Boise for my car show. So we've got, geez Louise, we've got a busy schedule coming up. So everybody wish Tony luck on his first training today. Solo, he's going to kill it. We already know he's going to kill it, but send him good vibes. And thank you, Tony, for joining us. I know you've got a busy morning, and you have students showing up shortly. So tell everybody back there hi for us. Tell Ian hi, Bob and Dave, all the warehouse workers. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks, guys.
Thank you.